So for the past month, I've been pushing myself to get back into drawing with the ultimate goal of creating my first ever manga, which I am already making some decent progress in. Behind the scenes, y'all really haven't seen much as of yet, but I actually have finished basically writing out the entirety of volume 0 of my manga, and I will be talking about that a little bit later in the video, but I kind of just want to have this more focused on the art journey itself. Now, as I have stated in one of my previous videos, I did draw it back into like a year ago or a few months back, but I always just kind of had this weird pattern of starting and stopping when it comes to drawing, and I've just been struggling to get over that hump of procrastinating, which I honestly think I'm doing really well now when I think about it. Now I'm at a point where even going back to my earlier drawings, even if it's not by much, I can tell that I have made improvements. Like, some of these drawings just look absolutely insane, while some of these look very chopped, bro. But even before starting this journey, I did draw, not very consistently. It would kind of be more of an occasional thing where I would just feel like I would have the motivation to draw something one day, and then I would just go through with it, and then I would stop drawing for like weeks. But I think I'm kind of getting at a point where I really do want to push myself and take it really serious, which I've been doing good this month. I actually been way more consistent than I actually expected myself to. Not saying that as a bad thing, but I'm just saying it in a more like, I'm impressed with the progress I have made, because you know, progress is progress at the end of the day. But these are some of my older drawings that I have had in the vault basically before I decided to kind of just make things official. These are more sketches than drawings actually. I only have like a few things that are. And here's a random picture of something I drew for my biology class. It's for the pro phase 1, the whole like process of that. I just ended up drawing a diagram for that. But even then, I would kind of go back and forth with some of the things that I did have, like, but there are things that I did draw in the past that I am happy with how they came out. For example, the Sakuna drawing, I did end up drawing this while looking at a picture for reference. This isn't like from memory or anything. I kind of was looking at a screen while drawing this, but it still came out pretty decent and I was happy with it. Another thing too, I was kind of happy with what I drew. This is closer to last year, but the Yorichi from Bleach. I was kind of happy with how she came out after I drew this, but now that I look back at it, I can see that I don't know, I just feel like the proportions look off, and I don't know where her arms are. Oh my god, this is so fun. But I also have more things in the vote too. Like, I have Fubuki from One Punch Man. I tried to draw her standing next to a car. This never actually came to fruition. I kind of just gave up because I just didn't like the way it was coming out. Along with this Choso picture that I have, that I also didn't like how it came out, but I just stuck with it. And like I said, some of these were from even last year, but like I said, I would kind of start and stop a lot, and I really am super proud of myself with how consistent I have been for this past month, and I'm super happy with the progress I have made. Let's kind of continue with some of the old stuff that I do have before we kind of get into how this month went. So this is one of my older characters, one of my older OCs that I was initially going to design for the manga that I am now creating. But after doing a whole bunch of revisions with the story and making sure the story makes sense, making sure the power system makes sense, I just didn't see this character really fitting in. This sketch is really horrible, but I do have a headpiece of her that I actually am happy with. And then I have this one. This is kind of more of a downward, or this is like her looking up in a way. This one I was actually happy with how it came out, but like I said, I just stopped drawing after this point. Like, I have a bad habit of getting to a decent spot and just completely stopping, which I really do hate. On top of that, I do have a whole bunch of other arts that just pop up on the screen. Some of these are fucking horrendous. Some of these are pretty decent. And then I have this one, which I forgot I even drew. I don't know what I was on that day when I drew her. All right, let's get to the point of the video. So this month, like I said earlier, I was basically getting myself back into tip-top shape, drawing and figuring my things out. Now, with that being the situation, there was obviously some rust I had to knock off to kind of get myself back into tip-top shape. So starting off, things were pretty rough, I'm not gonna lie. I actually started off, instead of just drawing flat out, I actually worked a little bit on my fundamentals, or I tried to. So I did a decent bit of practice. Like, for instance, I have cubes, like a page full of cubes that I drew that looks absurd. Like, I don't even know how many squares, how many cubes that is, but I just basically was drawing cubes over and over again, practicing like perspective and just trying to get myself warmed up before I actually push myself to actually draw something. Following that, I don't actually remember the dates of these, but this was kind of like closer to the end of May and a little bit of July, so this month. But I was basically starting off with this, and I also started off drawing like a whole bunch of circles, ellipses, whatever you want to call them, while trying to get the line through. Looking back at it, the circles really don't look the best, but during the time I was kind of happy with it, so I just went with it. As I kind of got past that hump, because one thing I wanted to avoid was trying to keep myself stuck in that weird practice phase that a lot of artists talk about avoiding. So that's one thing that I did try to avoid, and I'm glad I did, actually, which is what kind of caused me to push myself to finish my design for my character finally. But before we even got to that point, I went from just drawing cubes and ellipses to actually practicing portraits, practicing side profiles. Some of these earlier drawings don't really look good at all, but like I said, it's a learning process. You got to start somewhere. So I kind of just took it on the chin for what it was and just realized, hey, I'll do better the next day. For those cases, I did end up making some progress. My OC did kind of look better for like how I wanted her to look. She did look closer and closer to what I wanted her to be. So I just kept going and going with that and really didn't try to stress out too much, even though I wasn't really happy with how some of these earlier portraits came out. And then closer to this week, like this past week, I really haven't did anything in terms of drawing besides this final drawing I am going to show for the time lapse. The week before was really the week where I was kind of doing the most practice in terms of getting her design down. I was like in this weird phase where I was really close to figuring her out, but as I kind of took the time, like you guys know, like you'll draw something, you'll kind of take a day away from the piece that you drawn and come back to it to see if it looks as good as you thought it did look when you was first drawing it. That was something that I was doing constantly to just try to make sure I wasn't gassing myself up. But I did eventually get to a point where I kind of had the general idea of where I wanted to go with her design, because she really has a simple design ultimately, I'm not even gonna lie to you, but it was really just the hair in her eyes. I wanted to get her eyes right because she is more of a, she's been through some things, right, but she isn't necessarily like this super edgy character. So I just wanted to try to encapsulate that accurately without it looking over aggressive or like she's too innocent. You feel me? I don't even know if that's a good word to describe it, but I eventually came down and made micro adjustments as time went on. We are not going to talk about this picture. Oh my god. Yo, picture one in this whole thing looks insane, but we aren't going to talk about that. So basically it's just a whole bunch of trial and error on my part before I eventually figured out where I wanted to take her. And then I basically made the decision that I'm going to be going with the design that I've been kind of showing a little bit of in my previous videos. The short messy hair and, you know, a slim build while also not looking too like overexcited, you know, trying to get her vibe right, you feel me? So I have drawn her in some very like out of character ways, I feel like, especially with this, but I think I actually do got her down, and this is what I was able to come up with. I actually just finished this, and I think this design is really good. I'm actually set on her design being this way because I've been basically trying to figure out like how I wanted her cloak to look, because a cloak is a very like simple attire, and I'm really happy with how her design came out. It's super simple. For her character, as I continue talking more and more about her character and giving more context to the story, you guys will kind of understand and y'all will see the vision. I still need to work on coloring this. I do want to like figure out her color palette, which I do have an idea of where I want to go with that too. So everything is just coming together slowly but surely. But this is what I came up with, and for her initial official design, I'm really happy with how this came out. That's basically where we're at right now in terms of the journey, and I am going to be basically using this design to kind of figure out other ways to draw her and get myself more acclimated to different techniques. But in terms of the future, and I also want to drop this too, I finally feel as is there is an official upload schedule that I will be doing for this channel, and I've decided that I will just be uploading every Friday. I tried to do the every 3-day upload, but I figured out that for my past videos, I really wasn't uploading the type of videos I really wanted to. I was kind of leaning back to my old ways, but I really feel like I figured out the pathway that I want to take, and I'm gonna try to stick with it. So I'm going to cut back from doing a video every 3 days to a video a week, and every week it should be Friday. If I'm really feeling it, I'll upload maybe Thursday, but anybody that does care, it will be more of a Friday that I do upload. For the manga itself, for the title of the manga itself, I did end up deciding to go with the title They Want What's Ours. That's the IP that I'm going to be going with from now on in terms of the story, and I will do a video following this up next week, basically explaining everything, explaining the protagonist Rose, and basically bringing everything together, because I know I've been talking about this manga for like the past few videos, but I really barely say anything about it. But the next video is going to be the video where I start to basically explain as much as I can without really trying to spoil too much, because I'm still in the very early development stage of this, so I don't want to spoil and I don't want to say more than I should. Ultimately, They Want What's Ours is the name of my IP, and it's gonna be lit. I'm very excited for this. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and cut this video because this video has been going on for a little bit too long. But in this next video coming next week, I will have a more in-depth, as much as I can, talk about what this story is about, what it's going to be about, and I'm gonna kind of open up a little bit with what's going on. So hopefully you guys are looking forward to that. I'm really excited. But other than that, all I gotta say is hopefully you enjoyed the video. Like I said, stay tuned, turn your post notifications on if you are interested in following along, and I'll see you guys next week.